Are his siblings investors? Are his siblings investors?
Kardeşleri yatırımcı mı?
They were not organized last year. They were not organized last year.
Geçen sene organize olamadılar.
Your grandson is a plumber. Your grandson is a plumber.
Torununuz tesisatçı.
I can arrest. I can arrest.
Tutuklayabilirim.
Shouldn't it be supported after 1 week? Shouldn't there be support after 1 week?
Bir hafta sonra destek olması gerekmiyor mu?
I produce. I produce.
Ben üretiyorum.
Cannot enjoy 10 years. Cannot enjoy 10 years.
10 yılın tadını çıkaramaz.
You rarely get over it. You cannot exceed the accessories.
Aksesuarları aşamazsınız.
May ask next year. I can inquire next year.
Gelecek yıl sorgulayabilirim.
Should we match? Should we match?
Eşleşmeli miyiz?
Was his stepson the owner of the house? Stepson landlord?
Üvey oğlu ev sahibi.
Can't I deny? Can't I deny?
İnkar edemez miyim?
Our parents are garbage collectors. Our parents are garbage collectors.
Ebeveynlerimiz çöp toplayıcıdır.
Then we can't fly. Then we can't fly.
O zaman uçamayız.
You shouldn't be a nighttime scavenger. You must be a nighttime scavenger.
Gece vakti çöpçü olmalısın.
Can 10 years joke? Can 10 years joke?
10 yıl şaka yapabilir mi?
Our granddaughter was the nanny. Our granddaughter was the nanny.
Torunumuz dadıydı.
His sister was a window cleaner. The sister was the window cleaner.
Kız pencere kardeşi temizleyicisiydi.
4 days ago interested. 4 days ago interested.
4 gün önce ilgileniyor.
My relatives are architects. My relatives are architects.
Akrabalarım mimar.
Wouldn't it be a daily lifesaver? Doesn't the daily lifeguard go?
Günlük can kurtaran gitmez mi?
Would they insist? Do they insist?
Israr ederler mi?
Won't it include? Won't it include? They shouldn't be sheriffs occasionally. They shouldn't be sheriffs occasionally.
Ara sıra şerif yapmamalıdırlar.
They cannot survive in the twilight. They cannot survive in the twilight.
Alacakaranlıkta hayatta kalamazlar.
My stepbrother is a psychiatrist. My stepbrother is a psychiatrist.
Üvey ağabeyim psikiyatrist.
Rolled over. Rolled over.
Yuvarlandı.
Her half-sister is the weather presenter. Her half-sister is the weather presenter.
Üvey kız kardeşi hava durumu sunucusu.
Shouldn't we call a day later? Don't we need to call a day later?
Bir gün sonra aramamıza gerek yok mu?
Was he a fireman then? Was he a fireman then?
O zaman itfaiyeci miydi?
Is your mother a messenger? Is your mother a messenger?
Annen haberci mi?
Can't we order? Can't we order?
Emir veremez miyiz?
Then I couldn't work. Then I couldn't work.
O zaman çalışamadım.
My relatives are architects. My relatives are architects.
Akrabalarım mimar.
We couldn't be a monthly songwriter. He cannot write a word.
Aylık söz yazamıyor.
Could not be organized weekly. Could not be organized weekly.
Haftalık organize olamıyordu.
You were organized. You were organized.
Örgütlüydün.
After 5 nights, we may not be the housekeeper. After 5 nights, we may not be the housekeeper.
5 gece sonra kahya olmayabiliriz.
Then they mine. Then they are mining.
Daha sonra madencilik yapıyorlar.
They would not connect. They would not connect.
Bağlanmayacaklardı.
Didn't he go to jail often? Didn't he go to jail often?
Sık sık hapse girmedi mi?
You should not serve after 1 minute. You should not serve after 1 minute.
Bir dakika sonra servis yapmamalısınız.
You can talk weekly. You can talk weekly.
Haftalık olarak konuşabilirsiniz.
Wouldn't it be a clerk? Will it never be a clerk?
Tezgahtar asla olmaz mı?
Can collect. Can collect.
Toplayabilir.
Was your wife a sailor? Is your spouse a maritime piracy?
Eşiniz denizci korsanlığı mı?
My neighbor was a firefighter. My neighbor was a firefighter.
Komşum itfaiyeciydi.
Is my husband a cook? Is my husband a cook?
Kocam aşçı mı?
We didn't work last year. We didn't work last year.
Geçen sene çalışmıyorduk.
Was his father the weatherman? As her father's weatherman?
Babasının hava durumu sunucusu olarak mı?
Can't you go at dawn? Can't stay at dawn?
Şafakta kalamıyor musunuz?
You will be connected. You will be connected.
Bağlanacaksınız.
Do we lose in the night time? Can we come at night time?
Gece vakti gelebilir miyiz?
Will it encourage? Will it encourage?
Teşvik mi edecek?
I was kidnapped. I was kidnapped.
Kaçırıldım.
Was his half-brother an inspector? Her half-brother inspector broadcast?
Üvey kardeşi müfettiş yayın.
Can I lock it? Can I lock it?
Kilitleyebilir mi?
Should not object. Should not object.
İtiraz etmemelidir.
He could have done engineering 5 months ago. He could have done engineering 5 months ago.
5 ay önce mühendislik yapabilirdi.
You could have been a butcher earlier at 1 a.m. Could have been the butcher earlier at 1 a.m.
Daha önce gece yarısı 1'de kasap olabilirdi.
Her husband is a detective. Husband is a detective.
Koca dedektiftir.
Were his half-brothers night watchmen? Step-brothers night watchman theft?
Üvey kardeşler gece bekçisi hırsızlığı.
You haven't been a driver for 2 weeks. He hasn't been a driver for 2 weeks.
2 haftadır şoför değildi.
Sometimes we couldn't meet. Sometimes we couldn't meet.
Bazen görüşemezdik.
Will you trust before? Will you trust before?
Daha önce güvenecek misin?
We could compare. We could compare.
Karşılaştırabilirdik.
Was her sister a scavenger? Was her sister a scavenger?
Ablası çöpçü müydü?
Would he hunt at sunrise? Does he hunt at sunrise?
Gün doğarken avlanır mı?
Can you take daily notes? Can I get a diary?
Günlük alabilir mi?
Can't I be a missionary later? Can't I be a missionary later?
Daha sonra misyoner olamaz mıyım?
We did not complete. We did not complete.
Tamamlamadık.
They want it right away. Can act immediately.
Hemen harekete geçebilir.
Appreciated. Appreciated.
Takdir etti.
He couldn't jump. I couldn't jump.
Zıplayamadım.
His half-brother was a stylist. His half-brother was a stylist.
Üvey kardeşi stilistti.
You'll be interested in 4 centuries. You'll be interested in 4 centuries.
4 asır sonra ilgileneceksin.
Is my friend the second man? Is my friend the second man?
Arkadaşım ikinci adam mı?
We could go in. We were owned.
Sahip olunurdik.
Don't they assume 2 centuries later? Don't they assume 2 centuries later?
2 asır sonra varsaymıyorlar mı?
You won't be a cleaner every week. You won't be a cleaner every week.
Her hafta temizlikçi olmayacaksın.
You should be a waitress now. You should be a waitress now.
Hemen garsonluk yapmalısın.
Do they stylist every week? Are they her week stylist?
Onlar onun haftası stilist mi?
Creates at dusk. Kills at dusk.
Alacakaranlıkta öldürür.
You may not die occasionally. You may not die occasionally.
Ara sıra ölmeyebilirsiniz.
Your grandmother is a washerwoman. Grandma washerwoman.
Büyükanne çamaşırcı.
I can't survive before. I can't survive before.
Daha önce hayatta kalamam.
That contact. He contacts.
O temaslar.
Rarely do we get. With me?
Yanımda mı?
Are your grandchildren investors? Are your grandchildren investors?
Torunlarınız yatırımcı mı?
He didn't thank you. He didn't thank you.
Teşekkür etmedi.
Your cousins were rowers. Your cousins were rowers.
Kuzenlerin kürekçiydi.
Will it work at 4 p.m.? Will it work at 4 p.m.?
Öğleden sonra 4'te mi çalışacak?
Won't I be retiring soon? Won't I be retiring soon?
Yakında emekli olmayacak mıyım?
Doesn't he complain? Won't I complain?
Şikayet etmeyeceğim mi?
We'll add it right away. We'll add it right away.
Hemen ekleyecektir.
Should not imply. Should not imply.
İma etmemelidir.
Frequent historian. Frequent historian.
Sık sık tarihçi.
Were you invisible in the twilight? Are you hidden in the twilight?
Alacakaranlıkta gizlin mi?
Is their aunt a secretary? Is their aunt my secretary?
Teyzeleri sekreterim mi?
Aren't they shop assistants at dusk? Aren't they shop assistants at dusk?
Alacakaranlıkta tezgahtar değiller mi?
Was his friend a paramedic? His friend is the Ministry of Health prison?
Arkadaşı Sağlık Bakanlığı hapishanesi.
Can't they do accounting every year? Calculations every year?
Her yıl hesaplamaları mı?
My father was the weatherman. My father was the weatherman.
Babam hava durumu sunucusuydu.
We should be hopeful for next year. We should be hopeful for next year.
Seneye umutlu olmalıyız.
Could he sell? Gene to sell.
Satabilecekken.
Can't be a doctor often? Can't be a doctor often?
Sık sık doktor olamaz mı?
Shouldn't you be paired after a day? Shouldn't it be a day later?
Bir gün sonra olması gerekmez mi?
Your relatives were aviators. Your relatives were aviators.
Akrabalarınızın havacıydı.
Wasn't he fit every day? Isn't it general to be fit every day?
Her gün zinde genel değil mi?
Is our grandmother a clown? Is our grandmother a clown?
Büyükannemiz palyaço mu?
Can't be a hydrologist after 1 hour? Can't be a hydrologist after 1 hour?
Bir saat sonra hidrolog olamaz mı?
Can't we defend after 3 nights? Can't we defend after 3 nights?
3 akşam sonra savunma yapsak olmaz mı?
Will they contact? Will they go out of contact?
İletişimden gidecekler mi?
Shouldn't it be closer in 2 weeks? Shouldn't it be closer in 2 weeks?
2 hafta sonra yaklaşması gerekmiyor mu?
Can you send it after 3 in the morning? Can you send it after 3 in the morning?
Sabah 3'ü sonra gönderebilir misin?
I was kidnapped. I was kidnapped.
Kaçırıldım.
There won't be a tailor every year. She won't be the tailor of the year.
Onun yıl terzisi olmayacak.
Frequent historian. Frequent historian.
Sık sık tarihçi.
Doesn't he explain at noon? Doesn't he explain at noon?
Öğlen açıklamıyor mu?
I would reflect. I'm out.
Çıktım.
Can you be injured? Can it be injured?
Yaralanabilir mi?
His stepmother is a sailor. His stepmother is a sailor.
Üvey annesi denizcidir.
Will they not inform? Can they get news?
Haber gelebilirler mi?
You are adapting. You are adaptable.
Uyum sağlayansın.
My brother was the minister. My brother was the minister.
Kardeşim bakandı.
We won't be female cops every month. There are no female cops every month.
Her ay kadın polis olmaz.
May imply. May imply.
İma edebilir.
Can't he suppress? Can't he suppress?
Bastıramaz mı?
Couldn't they have been lifeguards a week ago? Couldn't they be lifeguards a week ago?
Bir hafta önce can kurtaran olamazlar.
Can I lock it? Can I lock it?
Kilitleyebilir mi?
Can they watch? Can they watch?
İzleyebilirler mi?
Aren't we hurt? Did we hurt our eyesight?
Görme zarardık mı?
Is his friend a golfer? Is his friend a golfer?
Arkadaşı golfçü mü?
Can't be a hydrologist after 1 hour? Can't be a hydrologist after 1 hour?
Bir saat sonra hidrolog olamaz mı?
Then it should install. Then it should install.
O zaman yüklemeli.
Answered 5 weeks ago. Answered 5 weeks ago.
5 hafta önce cevap verildi.
His half-brother is an alchemist. His half-brother is an alchemist.
Üvey kardeşi simyacıdır.
I didn't do the weekly courier. I couldn't do a weekly courier.
Haftalık kurye yapamadım.
That manager one evening later? That manager one evening later?
O yönetici bir akşam sonra.
Nighttime should not be compared. Nighttime comparison.
Gece vakti karşılaştırmalı.
Aren't we going to report in a month? Can we report after a month?
Bir ay sonra rapor verebilir miyiz?
You should sell. You should sell.
Satmalısın.
She is a yearly fashion designer. She is an annual fashion participant.
O yıllık moda katılımcısı.
Appreciated. Appreciated.
Takdir etti.
You would dance. You would dance.
Dans ederdin.
Would he carry? To carry?
Taşımak.
Did they appear every year? Did they appear to him?
Ona yıl göründüler mi?
They do not match. They do not match.
Eşleşmiyorlar.
5 p.m. cannot judge. Cannot be judged after 5 births.
5 doğumdan sonra yargılanamaz.
They did not grow every day. They did not grow every day.
Her gün büyümediler.
Isn't it basic? Isn't it basic?
Temel değil mi?
Should be replaced later. Should be replaced later.
Daha sonra yerine konulmalıdır.
Can defend. Can defend.
Savunma yapabilir.
He was rescued that night. He was rescued that night.
O gece kurtarıldı.
Would I step? Would I step?
Adım atar mıydım?
Your mother-in-law is an intern. Your mother-in-law is an intern.
Kayınvalideniz stajyer.
Should not advertise immediately. Should not advertise immediately.
Hemen reklam yapmamalıdır.
Can we sleep now? Can we sleep now?
Hemen uyuyabilir miyiz?
You don't feel it after 1 week. After 1 week you are your protectors.
Bir hafta sonra koruyucularınızsınız.
Must block. Must block.
Engellemesi gerekir.
Don't I love? Don't I love?
Sevmez miyim?
Do I have a contract every week? Do I have a contract every week?
Her hafta anlaşmalı mıyım?
His brothers were collecting donations. Men were collecting cargo.
Erkek kargoları topluyordu.
I will behave. I will behave.
Davranacağım.
His half-sister is an oncologist. His half-sister is an oncologist.
Üvey kız kardeşi onkolog.
Was my nephew a golfer? Was my nephew a golfer?
Yeğenim golfçü müydü?
You must not suffer. Must suffer.
Acı çekmeli.
Your cousins are baristas. Your cousins are baristas.
Kuzenleriniz barista.
Can it change at noon? Lunch show?
Öğle yemeği programı mı?
I trust one night later. I trust one night later.
Bir akşam sonraya güveniyorum.
2 weeks doesn't matter. 2 weeks doesn't matter.
2 hafta merak etmiyor.
Was he a fireman then? Then firefighter prison?
O zaman itfaiyeci hapishanesi.
There has been an increase. It was love.
Aşk oldu.
Were their husbands stylists? Stylist neutering husbands?
Kocaları stilist kısırlaştırma.
Should he write? Should he write?
Yazmalı mı?
Didn't I push 1 week ago? Didn't I push 1 week ago?
Bir hafta önce zorlamadım mı?
3 weeks later becomes a midwife. 3 weeks later becomes a midwife.
3 hafta sonra ebe olur.
We would remove. We removed.
Kaldırdık.
Shouldn't it turn? Shouldn't it turn?
Dönmesi gerekmez mi?
Is your mother-in-law a historian? Is your mother-in-law a historian?
Kayınvalideniz tarihçi mi?
Can't he read every day? Can't you read every day?
Her gün okuyamazsın mı?
Shouldn't it turn? Shouldn't it turn?
Dönmesi gerekmez mi?
Weren't they often surgeons? Didn't they often become surgeons?
Sık sık cerrah olmamışlar mı?
He didn't do journalism 5 days ago. He didn't do journalism 5 days ago.
5 gün önce gazetecilik yapmadı.
We can run away right now. We can run away right now.
Hemen kaçırabiliriz.
Was our grandmother a tailor? Our grandmother is a tailor?
Anneannemiz terzi.
Is their grandmother the weatherman? Is their grandmother the weatherman?
Büyükanneleri hava durumu sunucusu mu?
He could have taught 3 nights ago. He could have taught 3 nights ago.
3 gece önce öğretebilirdi.
Her brother-in-law is a psychiatrist. Her brother-in-law is a psychiatrist.
Kayınbiraderi psikiyatrist.
Produced the day before. It was done the day before.
Bir gün önce yapıldı.
We can enter. We can own.
Sahiplenebiliriz.
He introduces. He introduces.
O tanıştırıyor.
Was his half-brother the cook's assistant? His half-brother cook's assistant?
Üvey kardeşi aşçı yardımcısı.
His brother-in-law was a nutritionist. His brother-in-law was a nutritionist.
Kayınbiraderi beslenme uzmanıydı.
Were my cousins actors? When my cousins are actors.
Kuzenlerim oyuncularken.
Didn't I install? Didn't I install?
Kurmadım mı?
I couldn't leave at dusk. I couldn't leave at dusk.
Alacakaranlıkta ayrılamadım.
Should it be the bellhop of the decade? Should it be the bellhop of the decade?
10 yılın bel boyu olmalı mı?
Was flying. Was flying.
Uçuyordu.